What is going on, guys? Today I'm working on the Civic. Now if you did see my previous video, I did change out the lower ball joints on this car just because a lot of the parts now need to be changed out. It's a higher mileage car, it's a 2000, so definitely some things need to be replaced. Now for this video I am going to be changing out that upper ball joint, the upper control arm. I am going to be putting on an aftermarket control arm, which definitely should give me some better performance. And here's the control arms I had purchased from K-Tuned. And here it is, guys. This has a adjustable upper ball joint, so you are able to adjust the camber some extra degrees. I believe it's like 2.5 degrees positive, and then negative 1.5, something along those measures. I will have a link to these control arms. And these bushings here are the spherical bushings. These are not the rubber ones. I decided to go with these just because I wanted some better feel out of the car. Hopefully it's not going to be real rough on the car. I do plan to do some other spherical bushings along with some rubber bushings and trying to make it what I really want. So now these are a bit pricey. I paid just under $350, about $340 for these. And it's cheaper if you get the rubber bushings. I believe it's like $100 cheaper, something along those lines. But these are the control arms. I'm pretty excited to put these on. Now I am going to have some before shots of driving the car and then after, and hopefully you'll be able to hear the difference, because I cannot find a video of someone talking about spherical bushings, how much it raises the noise. Now of course this is just the upper control arms. There's other bushings that you can replace, which definitely will increase it more than just the upper control arms. So I'm pretty excited to put on these control arms. It should be fairly easy to put them on. First thing I'm going to do is jack up the car, put some jack stands underneath it, and take these wheels off. So let's get to it. Alright, cool. So I have the car jacked up, have some jack stands underneath it supporting it, and I did open up the hood. Now the upper control arm is pretty easy to change out. Firstly, you're going to be taking off that cotter pin, take that on out, then get this 17 nut off of here. After you get that off, you're just going to hit the knuckle here and just pop that control arm off. So real quickly, I'm going to show you guys, just kind of speed through it, and we'll get that done. So cool, that was pretty easy. Upper control arm is loose, and there's 2 bolts that hold it in, and we got to get them inside of the engine bay. Here inside of the engine bay, those bolts, one's going to be over here. We got to remove the battery, and then we have to get rid of this air box here, and we'll be able to access the other bolt. Here on the driver's side, you can see that bolt right here, and then if you go by the brake master cylinder, that other bolt is going to be right here, right there. And so you're probably going to need a ratcheting wrench. Just real quickly, I'm going to get this side off on the driver's side. Okay, so I got the ball joint out of the driver's side and the passenger side, so those are ready to go. I'm going to get started on this driver's side, taking out the upper control arm, taking out these 2 bolts. I do have my ratcheting wrench right here, is a 14 mil. After this side is out, I'll get started taking out the battery and taking out the air box and get those other 2 bolts. So let's get started on here. There it is. Here is the driver's side. This is just stamp metal, and the bushings, they're still good. They're still all right. I mean, they're a little bit cracked, but I mean, it's not like they're moving a whole lot. But definitely this ball joint is pretty trashed. So this is trash. Okay, so now it's time to tackle the passenger side. I need to take this air box on out. I believe it's just these 2 10s. Take off this hose here, and I believe that should be it. And then of course for the battery, just got to disconnect positive and negative terminals and take off this battery hold, and then just carry out the battery. So let's get to it. And here we have the other passenger control arm here. Again, you know, the rubber is still holding. They're not like real loose or anything like that, but definitely that ball joint needs to be replaced. So let's get to installing these new K-tuned upper control arms. So here it is, guys. Before I install the K-tuned upper control arms, these are a lot beefier than the stock upper control arms. These are just stamped metal. And then of course we got the old rusty bushings there, and they're just cracking and stuff. And then that upper ball joint is just nasty, man. And then the passenger side here, same thing. So definitely it's going to give a lot more stability, a lot more feel through these upper control arms. And then with that ball joint on there, the adjustable ball joint and spherical bushings, this thing should feel a lot nicer, but I'm just hoping it's not too harsh. So again, I did take some video of driving the car before, just hitting some speed bumps, some little potholes and stuff on the road like that. So hopefully through the video you guys will be able to see if there is a difference, how much of a difference on noise and just hitting bumps and stuff like that. So now let's get on to installing these upper control arms. So what I'm doing real quick, since these K-tuned upper control arms have a adjustable ball joint for the camber, I'm just trying to see if I could get it to stock, you know, because this is the stock arm. Just try to line it up, eyeball it as much as I can. And also what I did is I got this old control arm, place one on top of each other, just try to again eyeball it, you know. These are at a slightly different angle, so you probably won't get it 100%, but just try to get it as much as possible. So to me, that seems like where stock would be at. Try to put it right on top of it. It looks like that's where stock would be at in my eyes. And so you just loosen up these Allen nuts or these Allen bolts here. There's 6 of them total, and these are supposed to be at 22 foot-pounds whenever you tighten them on down. And just so you guys can see, that's pretty much like in the middle. It's about equal amount of space, so it's about in the middle there. So I'm just going to do the same to the driver's side upper control arm, and then I'll get into installing them. Alright, going to be installing the driver's side first, and it just has these two 14s again, so you just push them on in and then torque them on down. So the control arm is hanging in there. Next thing I'm going to do is tighten up these bolts to their proper torque spec. From what I could find online, they're supposed to be at 40 foot-pounds. Now usually with rubber bushings, you want to wait till the car is sitting on the ground, has its full weight on it before you torque any of the bushings down. Just because if you torque it down while it's up in the air, you kind of lock that bushing in place, and when it goes on the ground, that bushing is trying to go into place where it's supposed to be with the weight of the car, but it's just binding up, and then eventually it's just going to break the bushing and tear it on up. But with these bearings, these spherical bushings, you know, they're bearings, so they can't twist and bind like that. There's zero bind, so you're able to tighten them down when the car is up in the air. So like I was saying about tightening down the bolts when the car is on the ground with rubber bushings, and for these bearings, you know, basically it's just a bearing like this and then another tubular bearing inside of another one, and it's able to twist back and forth, back and forth. So this is all tightened up. but you see I'm still able to move the control arm up and down pretty easily, and that's because of those spherical bearings. Try that with the rubber one and you're definitely going to just be kind of try to bring it on down, and you're going to feel that tension with the rubber binding on up. So these are all good to go. So let me finish underneath the hood with the intake and the battery, and then we'll get on to finishing the upper control arms on up and get our first test drive. Boom, there it is. Real quickly put in the intake and the battery, so we are finished underneath the hood. Last thing I got to do is just connect the suspension. Gotta take off this castle nut, put on the knuckle to the upper control arm, tighten it on down. These should be torqued down to about 29 to 35 foot-pounds, and that's because of the castle nut. You could try putting at 29 first. If it doesn't line up the hole with the castle nut for the cotter pin, then tighten it down a little bit more until you're able to get that done. So let's do it. Alright, so everything is good to go. Upper control arms fully bolted in, torqued down, castle nut on with the cotter pin. Now hopefully the camber adjustment is where the stock position is at, but if not, you know, I'm gonna have to adjust it. So now I'm just going to be throwing on the wheel, test driving it, and get some after shots of driving the car, and hopefully you could hear a difference and help you choose if you want to get the rubber bushings or the spherical bushings. So just let me know if you guys have any questions down below in the comment section. So the K-tuned upper control arms are fully installed into the car, and it really feels great. Now of course the original ones on the car were pretty worn out, and they just have years of use, and they're rubber bushings on there. But going from the original control arms, upper control arms, to the K-tuned, it definitely tightened up the steering a bit, and it made it a bit stiffer. Now as far as the noise inside of the car while driving and hitting bumps and potholes, you're mainly going to see the noise be increased on the bumps and the potholes, but it's really not much. It's only about a 10% difference in stiffness and noise. If anything, max would be a 15% difference, but honestly going from the original to the K-tuned was very minimal. So I think I was really overthinking it more than anything, but also because I don't know anyone that has spherical bearings on their car or have ever installed anything like that onto their car, so I don't have any sort of reference or know if it's going to make a huge difference. Now of course that is the only upper control arm bushings that went to spherical. So of course, if we start doing more spherical bearings on the suspension, it should increase the stiffness and noise inside of the car. Now, like I said, in the future I am going to put some more spherical bearings on the car, but also I'm going to be using some rubber bushings. So that is gonna hopefully make it to the stiffness that I would like it to, but not super stiff to where it feels like a race car and it's just not really enjoyable to drive it. But again, I never drove in a fully spherical bearing or bushing car, so I can only kind of reference it on videos and stuff that I've seen. Now, hopefully this video helped you guys out to see if you want to purchase a K-tuned upper control arms, or if you want to use the rubber or spherical bushings. So let me know if you guys have any questions down below in the comment section. I'll try to get to you as fast as I can, but of course also in the description box you can find my social media on there as well. So hopefully you guys go ahead and like the video, subscribe to the channel, because I'm going to catch you on the next one, man.